Welcome back to Law and Crime. I'm Carissa Kranz. Another case we are covering here on Law and Crime, and we have our very own Erin Keller there in person in the courtroom helping us cover this, is the Shayna Huber's retrial in Kentucky. This is a case that has garnered much media attention and is still garnering media attention, which is why we have an almost closed courtroom, but we do get to air specific parts of this trial shortly after it goes in the courtroom. With me is Erin Keller. Erin, you know, it's great to have you there live in the courtroom on scene for us. What can you tell us? What kind of update can you give us here, since you're experiencing it firsthand and we kind of get the aftermath? Not the aftermath. We're live, but we're getting...
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, how come? I know the judge made an order that we can't be in there live and we have to play like the clips right after they happen. What's the reason behind that?
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, we can just take the judge's order at face value. He is allowing cameras, which there's no constitutional right of access to cameras in court under Kentucky law. His order points that out. The way that we've been told to do this is to wait for whatever the event is that is happening in court. And only after that event is completely finished, only at that point can we then report on it. So, for instance, if a witness gets on the stand, we can't report what that witness says until the witness is excused. And right now, I'm actually across the street from the courthouse at a post office because we can't transmit anything from the courthouse property as far as doing an interview like this or a live shot like this. So I'm across the street. And you know, that's the judge's order. So we're trying to work with those parameters.
So far today, what has happened in the courtroom? Opening statements and...
So what I can report is opening statements. Opening statements were this morning. I sent you back a couple of clips of those that I think the audience is watching. Basically, two very different scenarios, two very different versions of this case from the prosecution and the defense. The prosecution saying that this was the case of a defendant who was very fixated on Ryan Poston, the victim, and that she just kept clawing after him, basically. I'm paraphrasing here, but that basically she kept after him to continue this relationship, that he kept trying to leave her, and that she just wouldn't have it. And there was this haunting line that she pulled every trick in the book to keep him, and when that didn't work, she pulled the trigger. I think that summarizes the state's opening statement. The defense on the flip side is saying, no. This defendant is someone who suffered abuse, that she didn't understand the way a normal relationship would work, and because of that, she tolerated the victim's abuse. The defense said during opening statements that ultimately this shooting happened when the victim was fighting with the defendant. There was a gun on the table. Apparently, the victim owned a number of weapons, according to the defense, and that the victim went for the weapon, and that then the defendant, Shayna Hubers, got her hands on it first, pulled the trigger, and fired the 6 shots into the victim, Ryan Poston's body. So very different versions of this. You've got the state saying that Ryan Poston was a nice guy. You've got the defense saying, no, that's not true at all, that he was the aggressor here, and that Shayna Hubers fired the shots to defend herself.
Well, and here Shayna Hubers is getting a retrial in this case. She was already sentenced to 40 years and found guilty of murder. But now she's on trial again, claiming self-defense. Thanks, Erin, for sending over that opening statement. Let's take a look at that opening statement now, since we have access to what's going on in the courtroom. Let's take a look.